We are live. Hopefully we are live. Like, I don't know. Yes, we are live. So, I can't make this hide. Yes. So, Shaun, welcome to the Coffee with Ahmet Kaan episode 2. I literally have no idea what I'm doing here. I literally have no idea how this is going to end. So, thank you for coming. I don't know, like, are we live? Can you see that in another?
Looks like we're live on my side, Ahmet. Says live in the top left-hand corner.
Okay, 36 seconds. Okay. Guys, this is literally my first time using StreamYard, so I have literally no idea how we're gonna do this. Hey, FM. So, I have no idea what to say. So, guys, the kind of like the plan is, Shaun is gonna explain his story, and from that point, we're gonna do some kind of like a Q&A, but we kind of like need a few minutes maybe for people to come. So let's just start to hear Shaun's story. I'm absolutely curious about to learn because he actually is a small YouTuber, a business owner. I don't want to say a business owner, but he is on his way to become a life coach. I'm not really sure how the details are, but it's kind of like, it looks like that. So I'm absolutely curious to your learn story, bro. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Very, very nice introduction. I appreciate it. So yeah, just a little bit about me. So I have been on YouTube since May this year, sorry. And obviously this was in the midst of the pandemic, in the middle of, the whole thing on lockdown. So ultimately what happened was I realized that there was sort of a requirement for us all to start talking more and helping others, and really trying to reach out and just be there for one another as a community, as a society. And I did a video on Facebook and Instagram. It's a private Instagram, so you may not have seen it, but it was terrible, Ahmet. It was absolutely terrible.
Mine first, terrible. Yeah. Mine as well. I had the first one.
It was so bad. It was around 8 minutes long, and I just plucked up the courage to say what was on my mind. I was just thinking that right now, when the whole place was on sort of lockdown and everywhere was shut, often we're left with our thoughts and only our thoughts. So we're not able to see friends, see families, see anybody like that. And for me, I thought that can be really toxic and really such a toxic environment for some people to be in. So I was thinking, well, we're not going to really know if people are okay unless we reach out to them and ask if they're okay. So anyway, the idea of the video was simply to just promote people to reach out to their friends and family, loved ones, and just make sure to check in on them, make sure that they're okay, make sure that they're happy, and if there's anything that we can do, because of course we're in uncertain times. Now, in terms of the response for that, it went really well. I received so many messages, so many comments from people I'd hardly ever spoken to, people I've not spoken to for years, just explaining that they really enjoyed the video. Just saying like that they thought it was really brave, really courageous and things. So it was a really good response from everyone, Ahmet. And people were saying, there's about maybe 5 to 10 people were saying, you should do more videos. And I was thinking, no one really wants to listen to me talk. No one really wants to listen to me blabber on. Yeah. And what I decided to do was, I thought, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it on a larger platform. If I'm going to create videos to help people, let's do it on a larger platform where there'll be a larger audience like YouTube, with the aim to help more people. So my first video I did, it was phenomenal. I received like 1,000 views in a week and over 500 subscribers in a week. So I was really shocked by it. And people were messaging me saying, Shaun, that's amazing. How have you done that? And I was like, I don't really know. I was just, what I decided to do, I started the channel, created the channel on May the 4th. And for one solid week, I decided I'm going to try and learn as much as I can from lighting, audio, recording, editing, everything, SEO. I thought I'll try and learn it all in a week. And fortunately, I was able to do a really good thumbnail. That the click-through rate for any creators watching was around 34%. So obviously that means that 34% of people that were seeing the the thumbnail were clicking it. So it managed
That's
to get
actually
me.
pretty good.
Yeah, I was very surprised. It managed to get me a lot of views and a lot of subscribers. And I made myself sort of a commitment whilst I'm not doing anything, whilst I am furloughed, not working. I'll deliver a video every week, every Monday, with the aim to help others help themselves. And I was able to cover topics that I thought needed addressing. And what I wanted to do is, I'm a very positive person. I wanted to try and use this time positively, to use my social media in a positive way. And fortunately, it worked. Fortunately, I had, a really good response. But in terms of life coaching, it's something I've always had an interest in. It's something that I've always wanted to know more about, and I really wanted to explore. I've always found myself the person that people approach when it's, maybe some adversity that they're going through, problems they're having at work, problems they're having with families, girlfriends, boyfriends, just problems
Yeah.
overall. And I quite enjoy, I feel quite fulfilled helping people. You know, so it's something I've wanted to pursue. Now, unfortunately, in the United Kingdom, life coaching is not regulated. So for anyone who's not aware of what that means, is that anyone can say they're a life coach, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
of course, for me, what I wanted to do is, I wanted to put the work in, with the courses, to become more credible, and have a good reputation. Like you said, the life coaching business isn't set up right now, but
True.
that was my sort of thought process. So I'm doing life coaching courses. I'm doing courses that you can buy online. There's so many you can do. I've vowed to do 200 hours, voluntary hours of coaching for free, before I call myself, a life coach.
Respect.
Yeah, which is, as you mentioned before, I'm a life coach in training because, ultimately, if you want to train to be a doctor, you go to education for 3, 5 years, 7 years, depending on what you want to do. Nursing, you do 3 years. So it seems only, fair and logical to do some volunteering when it comes to coaching. So my story itself, I would say I went through quite a lot of adversity. When I was younger, I went through quite a lot of adversity, grew up without a father. I was moving from different homes, lived different schools. We weren't in the sort of most the best environments, sort of a poor background, poor environments. And I was growing up and I was thinking, I don't want to give my children the life I had. I want to give my children the life that I never had. So
Can I
although
just interrupt for 1 second?
yeah,
I mean, that's to everybody who is in the chat right now. That's what we call a why, guys. That's what we call a reason to actually, create something amazing. So just want to say this quickly.
thank you
Amazing
very
story,
much.
so impactful.
And I think for me, obviously, I wanted to create a life for my children that I didn't have. I wanted to give them the things that I didn't have. I was going to school in ripped clothes and trainers with holes in, and my hygiene and health wasn't great. And the thing is, it wasn't. Looking back, it was all I knew at the time. I would get a little bit bullied about it in school for not having name clothes and things, but it's all I knew. And as I got older, I realized that working was for me. I enjoyed having money. I enjoyed being able to buy the things that I never had. And it's not necessarily materialistic things, but the ability to be able to, when your friends and family say, or your friends say, oh, we're going on holiday, being able to say, okay, I can come too, because I've given myself this financial freedom or this life that enables me to do things like that. So in terms of my upbringing, yeah, I would say I've been through a bit of adversity. I mean, one of my videos about accepting your past talks about when I was abused by my father figure physically. So I ended up homeless when I was 16. I lived in a homeless hostel. I've not really talked about it much on my channel. But yeah, I ended up homeless. I went through it was a bit of trauma. And I just decided that I wasn't going to live my life how I had been living it. and I decided I want to live it differently. So yeah, I think maybe there's some elements of me wanting to help others, which has something to do with my past and what's happened to me. Because I'm right now I'm discussing mental health on my channel, so I think that's really important to me, because for me, I was fortunate enough to go in the one direction where I sort of rebelled everything I was brought up against and took it in my stride. However, there are people around me that weren't able to take that sort of approach. There are, close family members around me that are now suffering with their mental health because they weren't able to bounce back like I have. So yeah, I'm proud that I've been able to bounce back from what I've been through. But I will also say there is so many people who have had worse upbringings than me. So I always like to keep myself grounded in that sense. But that's my story in terms of life coaching. Currently training to be a life coach. The reason the banner says life coach is because for me, it's a way for me to manifest it. It's a way for me to visualize being officially a life coach. People can say in the UK they're life coaches all they want, but I'm putting in the legwork, the voluntary, hours with people before I even go ahead and try and charge someone for, trying to help them along their journey.
Yes. Man, I don't know what to say. What an impactful story. So, I literally have nothing to say right now. I mean, a lot of people who are life coaches, who are telling themselves that are life coaches, quote unquote life coaches, or have never gotten through like what you have got through. So, most of the people who are doing what you are doing, basically, like people say, like life coaches are bad. They're just trying to charge people money from people. Yes, I do think that a lot of them are just doing this because of the fact that they couldn't really achieve something in life. And there's just, for example, there was business entrepreneurs. They just made some money out of like teaching people how to make money. So an amazing story, as Kerem in the chat says, unbelievable. So yeah, I literally have no word to say. So we can do some kind of like a Q&A right now. If you guys have some questions in the chat, please drop those questions right now in the chat. And I personally am going to say something about like life coaching. For example, I also want to be kind of like a coach in the future. I also want to build my own high performance training program that is kind of like related to personal development, at the same time productivity, high performance, something kind of like combined with all of those things. So that's kind of like what I want to do in the future. That is kind of related to life coaching, and hopefully it's going to happen. I don't know. I'm just a 16-year-old boy right now. Like I'm just trying to, make something happen out of my quarantine. So as you mentioned, for example, I also created my channel in like quarantine 4 months ago, just because of the fact that I wanted to use my time in quarantine productively. And one thing I wanted to mention about like something you said, and it's that you made a video that is at around 8 minutes on Facebook. And as you said, it was, bad. And I personally think that my video that is also like it is also up on the internet on YouTube, that is very, very bad. I mean, I probably am going to be making a video where I'm just going to react to that video after, for example, if I like cross 1 year on YouTube or something. That's kind of like the goal. So if you guys have some questions, please drop them down below. We will be absolutely glad to appreciate that. So one question that I have for Shaun is that, how do you see, like, I don't know how actually that works in UK, but like, how are you gonna make this happen? Like, how is the approach to life coaching in UK?
Yeah, I think because, as you mentioned there unfortunately is a lot of people just calling themselves life coaches and charging, extreme prices to rip people off. And whilst that's true, I think there are, in a world we live in now, I think if there's one thing we could do with more of, it's life coaches. It's people trying to help other people with their experience. And one thing that I do think as well is that when we train, we go to school, university, college, we train, we go through an education system whereby, you know, the government or somebody else certifies what's required in order for you to be called a nurse or a doctor or an
Yes. Yes.
accountant. So we abide by other people's criterias in order to become that. Now, whilst I do understand education is absolutely crucial and it's important, ultimately you're going through an experience. So you're experiencing them 3 years or 5 years in university, college, or school,
Yeah.
and that is ultimately what we're all going through. Whilst we're going through these educational systems, we're going through an experience. So for me, the life coaching, my sort of insights I want to give are from my experience of how I overcame, you know, adversity when I was 16. I was living in a homeless hostel where I was the only I was the only person out of around 80 houses, out of 80 rooms that was working. Everybody else was struggling with mental health, was, you know, addiction, drugs, alcohol, and no one wanted to be anything more than that at the time.
Yeah.
So all I'm trying to do is use my experience. So going back to your question, how do I envision it happening? Right now, I am putting the work in to find out, you know, why I reacted like that. You know, I'm diving inward to see, you know, why did I decide, okay, I'm homeless? Why didn't I just, you know, go to drink alcohol or drugs, or
Yes.
feel sorry
Yes.
for myself and get lost in that? Why did I bounce
Yes.
back differently? So here's how I envision it, is to put as much work in courses, learn as much as I can, reading, podcasts, just listening and taking in, and as you know, the self-development side of things. And eventually I would have
Expanding
built,
our horizon. Yeah.
I would have eventually built a platform on YouTube and social media whereby I can eventually use that as a way of monetizing. You know, because I've already had people, you may have seen, I don't know if you've already seen, I've already had people
I've
message
seen
me.
those videos. Yeah.
I've already had people message me and say, Shaun, you know, can you coach me? Or Shaun, as soon as you're a qualified life coach, let me know. And that is ultimately, it's brilliant. It's not what I set out to do, but that's how I envision it happening. You know, building an audience whereby, let's say, you know, I have 100,000 within 5 years, that 10% of them want support, want coaching, and maybe 10% of them I can help with my experience.
I understand it. What can I say? Amazing. So we have a lot of questions in the chat right now. I'm gonna like pick something out of here. Ege Kurtash, how can I become the best version of myself? So Shaun, what do you say?
I think
My voice cracked.
I think in order to be the best version of yourself, we need to first establish that you're not. First, need to establish that you're not, and that's okay. No one's perfect, and whilst we all strive for perfection, we're not going to get there. So don't strive for perfection. I think we should start striving to be better. Always try and be better, and
Every single day, 1% at least. Yeah.
don't compare yourself to other people. I think comparison is really difficult. I mean, especially in this modern day. But also, the only person you should be comparing yourself to is yourself. The person you was yesterday was last week, last month, last year. So to answer that is to really strip it back and really understand that you're never going to be perfect. Accept that first, and then look inward and see what are the areas that I can improve on, and focus on them. And it doesn't matter whether it's patience, whether it's, you know, money management, whether it's how to be compassionate, you know, whether it's communicating, whatever it is, there are tools out there and things that you can do to improve them sort of aspects of your life. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, for example, one thing I would like to add, it was like what you said is absolutely true and amazing. And what I would like to add is basically, again, for example, I personally think that like some of the exercises when you do like journaling and that kind of stuff, that is also really helpful to actually learn, to actually experience who your best version is. So journal a little bit, like learn who the best version of yourself is, and then every single day try to be that person. So there's something like we call, I actually forgot that, like act as if you are that person. And over time, what happens is you're actually going to become that person over time. So what I would like to, suggest as practically would be this, like go journaling, and that would be amazing. So we have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I think it's important to, become the company you want to keep. It's bizarre because for 24, we spend our whole lives with ourselves. 24 hours a day we spend with ourselves, but it's bizarre that although we spend so much time with ourselves, we don't really know ourselves. So I think it's really important to, look inward and try and
Absolutely.
understand yourself better.
So this question is just for you, Shaun. What do you think about productivity? Is it a big factor in success?
It depends how you define success. For me, productivity, absolutely, it is brilliant. That we only have a set amount of time on this world. Everyone knows that. Time's the one commodity we cannot buy more of. But for me, I think whilst it's important to be productive and use your time productively, I also think it's important to not get so lost in it, because I don't know about you, Ahmet, but I know myself, when I am not doing anything, when I am sitting on the sofa watching Netflix, I am too hard on myself. I think I could be doing this, I could be doing that, I should be reading, I could be, learning a new skill. When ultimately it's okay to have time to yourself. So absolutely, I think productivity is important, but it depends how you define success.
Absolutely. So this question was to Shaun, but for example, in my personal case, what I define as productivity is I go all in when I'm working, when I'm studying, when I'm doing something productive, but I also go all in when I'm relaxing. Like I don't just relax, like just sitting on the couch, just scrolling through Instagram. That's not how I relax as well. So productivity is, I personally think that also brilliance a huge factor of success. And as Hassan said, fake it until you make it. Yes, that was what I forgot. Actually, I wanted to say this. So actually, we have a lot of questions. I am pretty surprised.
Awesome.
How do you guys have so much motivation all the time? You had so much sadness in your life. How do you do these awesome career? How do you actually make this happen? We have some grammatical mistakes, no problem.
So do you want me to answer this one?
Absolutely. This question is actually not to me. I mean,
okay, so
I don't know.
I think well, I'll answer it, and then you can answer it afterwards if you want. I think the truth is, we don't. You've got to remember. I mean, this is just me. You've got to remember that you're only seeing what we're showing you. There's times.
So true.
There's times when I'm sitting on the sofa, or I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking, oh, I don't really want to do anything today. But it's important to remember that that's okay. You've got to rest, relax, and recharge. I am, like you said, when I am all guns blazing, when I am working, when I am working on YouTube or my own professional career, I'm 100% and I'm motivated, because you can either be motivated and feel good about it and enjoy it, or you can't. So it's sort of counterproductive for me. If it makes more sense to be happy and enjoy what you do than be unhappy and not enjoy what you do, because if you don't enjoy it, then just change it. You should be enjoying what you do every single day, because life's short, and if you don't enjoy what you do with your life, then change what you don't enjoy.
Absolutely. Like when people ask me about like motivation, the only answer that I give is probably like knowing your why and loving what to do. Because for example, I absolutely enjoy making YouTube videos. I enjoy making these live streams, even though I'm kind of like uncomfortable because of the fact that I haven't been doing these things like for years. But I absolutely love what I do. So that's why I have motivation all the time. Like even though if I'm sad in a day, I'm going to be able to make a video because I love it. It makes me happy. So find something that you like, find something that's going to make you happy, even though you're not maybe feeling good in that day. So that would be my advice when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
I generally start strong when I have a goal, but over time I lose motivation. What should I do?
I would like a bit more context on this in terms of what your goal is. because there's things now I'm learning about life coaching, and it depends on what your goal is. If it's to be more financially stable, if it's to be emotionally stable, if it's to be physically fitter or mentally better, then there's different things for different categories. But I would say that if you're struggling to reach your goal, then maybe your goal is too far out of reach. You need to set yourself up. You need to not set yourself up to fail. And I think that's what a lot of us do. A lot of us set ourselves up to fail, and then we seem so surprised when we fail. It's like, for example, if you're starting a YouTube channel and you say, I want 1,000 subscribers in a month, and you don't get there, you all automatically feel like a failure. Whereas if you just say, right, I want to, create 4 really good videos in this month, and then you do 4 really good videos, or maybe you do 5 or 6, you've overachieved on your goal, so you feel much better.
People generally like set goals when it comes to numbers, and when like sometimes we cannot really change numbers. When I set myself a goal for my subscribers, when it doesn't really happen, it's not all about me. Of course, I take full responsibility for that, but it's some kind of like about the algorithm. So I personally try to set my goals, as Shaun said, like I want to create 5 or I don't know, 7 good videos this month, the videos that are going to have impact on other people's lives. So that would be a better way to set goals. And if you can like use this strategy when you're setting goals, that's going to be a huge thing when it comes to motivation as well. That would be what I would say. Should results determine what is success or our efforts? Very good question.
This gentleman is very supportive of me, so thank you for joining us. Should results determine what is success? Again, I don't want to not answer this question, but success means different things to different people. So absolutely. If you're setting yourself up to fail, just like the other question, then you're going to fail. You need to set yourself up on the right foundations. For me, results, they teach you things. If you try, for example, let's use something simple. Let's really like peel it back. I failed my driving test 3 times. Failed my driving test 3 times. Now, does that mean I'm a terrible driver? No. Does that mean that I've learned every single time? Yes. It means I've learned something every single time I've failed, and I've used that failure as a lesson. So now I would say, I've been driving for 8 years, 9 years. I mean, touch wood, not being superstitious, never had an accident, being a very good driver, but I failed 3 times. So should results, does that them 3 failures make me a bad driver? No, it absolutely doesn't. Every single time I failed, I learned something. So I read something ages ago. You may know this. FAIL stands for first attempt in learning. So yeah. First right in learning, and it's very old. It's very corny, but I stand by that. You don't sort of win and lose. You sort of win and learn, don't you? And that's that.
Absolutely. People absolutely have to think about failure in a different way. Like when people fail, they think that like success is not the opposite of failure. Failure is actually something that is on your way to success. So that is absolutely important to know. So there's a quick question. Ahmet, do you use Notion? No, I don't use Notion, and because like it's just hard to use. Maybe you can teach me about Notion. So another question that got my eye here. What do your morning routines look like?
Now, I'll let you take this one first if you want.
Yeah, okay, I can answer this first. I'm really curious about your morning routine. I really enjoy learning from other people's morning routines. Like I really enjoy learning other people's morning routines. Interesting, I don't know. So I wake up at 5 a.m. and then I take a cold shower, and then I have to take my cold shower, I pray, and then I read a personal development book for about 15 to 20 minutes. That's kind of like my routine. And then I sometimes journal for 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes not, depending on my mood in that day. And then after that, I actually like start my work. Sometimes it's writing a script, sometimes it's editing a video, sometimes it's just, studying for an upcoming test. It just depends on the day. And at around like after 2 hours of hard work, 8 a.m. I have my breakfast, and then I start to attend my online lessons. That's kind of like my morning routine.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of morning routines, I have, as I've mentioned, I've been furloughed since March. So my morning routines have been very sort of sporadic. I obviously, you mentioned before you're 16. I'm 28. I have a partner who works on the front line in the NHS as a nurse. She does 50 hours a week. We have a little one. We've got 2 dogs. So my morning routine is completely different. Now, when I return back to work, as normal, I can go through what a normal morning routine would look like. Probably get up around 6:30. Probably get up around 6:30, and I won't go on my phone for the first 45 minutes, hour of the day. And I will do things around the house, and this might not be as exotic as people want, but I'm going to be 100% real. There may be, vacuuming, hoovering, or cleaning up that needs to be done. And I find starting my day doing something productive, whether that is cleaning the house, whether that is cleaning the dishes, whatever it is, I always find doing something productive first thing in the morning sets you up already, because it doesn't matter what else happens for the rest of the day. You've already got up and done something that needed doing. So I will not go on my phone for around an hour, and then I will normally do some sort of meditation or yoga, some sort of exercise. I don't, obviously the gyms, again, it's really hard to sort of convey because the gyms have been closed, they've been open, but normally I will get some sort of exercise in the morning, do a little bit of reading, not much, do about half an hour of reading, and then I will crack on with breakfast. I don't eat first thing in the morning. I will have a bit of breakfast.
Yeah, me too.
I don't eat meat, pescatarian, so I will have standard things for breakfast. I don't know, like a bagel or some fruit, something like that, porridge.
Yeah.
And then start my day. And I work from home, so I'll start my day around 8:30 a.m. and just try and, I don't need to start until 9:30, but I just try and get in a bit earlier and maybe do something for half an hour on my own stuff. So, whether that's half an hour of study for life coaching, whether that is working out my next video, content creation, something along them lines. But I'll be very black and white. My sort of morning routine is non-existent right now because of all the change and everything. My girlfriend, I don't know if you've seen, my girlfriend had COVID.
I know. I'm sorry.
So yeah, my morning routine of what it normally is totally different from what it's been like recently. But I would just say, start your morning with doing something productive. Stay away from your phone, no blue light, and do something productive immediately, whether that is working out, whether that is reading, journaling, meditation, even if it's just cleaning up of some sort. I do think that is probably the best way to start your day.
I'm actually very strict about not checking my phone for the first 2 to 3 hours of my day. I wake up at 5 a.m. and until 8:30 or 8:30-ish, I don't check my phone. That's kind of like a rule that I've adopted. And that is actually very helping me a lot with my productivity in the morning, especially. So still, we have a lot of questions. I made probably 3 or 4 live streams until this one, and I haven't gotten this many questions in total. Normally, I'm a very motivated guy, but the pandemic made me a lot less motivated for everything. What should I do?
Okay, I think it's really important to strip back and find out what made you motivated before. What was the reason? You mentioned before, Ahmet, about what your why was. And if that why has been taken away, for example, your why was your job and you've lost your job, then it's very understanding that you're not as motivated because you've lost something. And I think we underestimate the effects and the impacts on our mental well-being of losing something. Just because it's a job, it doesn't mean we don't suffer less than if it's, you know, a friend or, you know, a family member. You know, we all deal with that differently. So first of all, I would say find out what the why was. Why were you motivated before the pandemic? And if you've had that taken away from you, then, you know, set up your sort of goals now to establish a new why, establish a new sort of motivator. And also really, really basic, you need to do something every single day that makes you happy. Because if you're waking up
Great
every
points,
day
absolutely.
and not doing
So
things that you enjoy, then you're not going to want to
awesome point.
wake up. You're not going to want to get up and do anything. So you need to make sure you're doing something that you enjoy, whether that's exercise, maybe it is computer gaming, maybe it's yoga, going for a run, reading. Everyone enjoys different things. So don't be ashamed if you enjoy, you know, baseball cards or you enjoy playing the PlayStation for an hour. Get back to doing what you enjoy and start there.
Absolutely. So yes, we have a lot of questions, as I said before, and another one. Do you guys take a day off every week? How do you relax? By the way, I didn't answer the last one because Shaun just, you know, crashed it. So we're just gonna skip this one. Do you guys take a day off every week? How do you relax? I take a day off. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I cannot be productive if I'm not taking a day off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
I was going
so.
to say, do you have set days?
Yes, for example, on my Sunday is always my rest day, except like live streams, right? And you know, it's Sunday, and until probably 6 a.m. normally I don't really check my phone. Like, I kind of like do a dopamine detox, not like a strict one, but I try to like stay away from my phone, from everything it's going on internet, like for hours. I wake up pretty late. I mean, as a person who wakes up at 5 a.m., I wake up around 9, 10. So that's kind of like my Sunday. I just relax. Like, I don't do anything. And when I say I don't do anything, I don't check my phone. I don't just watch hours of Netflix. For example, I go for a run with my parents, with my brother. I play with my brother. Like, that's how I take a day off. But I'm really curious about yours.
Yeah, for me, I think it's important, obviously, to relax every week, but also take some time out of every day to relax and switch off. You know, it's not sustainable to be going 100 miles per hour every single day, every week, every month. It's not sustainable. You're going to be full victim to burnout. So what I like to do is every day I'll take the dogs out and I will leave my phone at home.
You have a dog?
Pardon?
I love dogs. You have a dog?
Yes, I do. I have
I
two.
love dogs.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get them before the stream's finished. But basically, yeah, I like to take the dogs out for a walk of a morning or evening, whenever, and I leave my phone at home. The walk can take 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes. But for me, that gives me a bit of mental clarity to think about what I need to do for the rest of the day or for the day if I'm taking them in the morning. But in terms of switching off, yeah, I have a day off. Normally, it will be very, very sporadic in terms of what day. Again, we're both different ages, Ahmed. So, you know, my partner might be off on a Wednesday one day, and I may use that as a day to relax with her, spend time with her, watching Netflix. You know, we'll go out. What we like to do is we like to do quite creative things. So, you know, things that get us going. So we went to it was like, I don't really know how to explain it for anyone who's watching, but it was like an indoor jungle gym for adults. So we went there last week. It's like Ninja Warrior. You've seen Ninja Warrior on the
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
so we went to Ninja Warrior. That was a couple of weeks back. We like to do stuff to get out, phones off, switch off, and just be outdoors. And then the previous week, the previous time we done that as well, we went to a inflatable thing. So it was in the middle. There's a park by us, a valley, and there's a huge lake. And what they do is they have inflatable obstacles that you need to do. So,
Yeah.
so it's just quite fun, you know, to switch off from everything socially and digitally and just go out and be present with each other. But if I'm not,
Right.
I like to, like you said, watch Netflix myself. I like to watch things, true things. So I was watching Inside Bill Gates' Brain on Netflix.
That's
seen
pretty
that?
good. Well, yeah, I've seen that.
So
That's
I
pretty
look
good.
to watch things that I find switching off is a good way to watch things that I enjoy without thinking I need to take this in, and just learn
Right.
naturally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's something that I really enjoy as well. Like just watching something passively. For example,
Mhm,
when I'm watching in the week like YouTube videos, I'm absolutely watching something if I'm gonna learn something from it. So
mhm,
when I'm watching, I'm taking notes, I'm absolutely active, I'm listening actively. But in the
mhm,
weekend, for example, when I'm taking a day off, when I'm watching Netflix, for example, completely passive. I just lie down there with my phone, just completely passive.
mhm.
Right. We have an interesting question here. Does Shaun give talks to example like give talks to, for example, high schools? Is he a motivational speaker?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm going to take that as a compliment, if it's meant as a compliment. But I am in the process of doing this. Of course, in the UK, with everything that's going on, everything is more digitally. So I have a mentor who is a public speaker, motivational speaker, and I have a call set up with him next week in regards to the next steps to, you know, get sort of get the conversations out there with these high schools. I've also been approached by a charity, a mental health charity. I'll give them a shout now. They're called the Be Free campaign, and they take part in speaking at high schools and universities about mental health. And I've been approached to do that as well. So I'm not officially a motivational speaker, but that sort of goes hand in hand for me with the life coaching and my sort of
Yeah,
experience. But yeah, it's something that I want to pursue. Again, it's just something when you want to do something like that, motivational speaking and life coaching, you need to do a lot of it to become good. You
absolutely.
need to
Practice,
do a lot
practice,
of it.
practice.
So yes, I to answer the question in short, not presently. I don't currently do it. However, there are things in the pipeline for me to definitely do that. If not the end of this year, certainly next year.
For example, I have a school club. I lead a school club about personal development, about productivity, and what we actually cover. So maybe you can, like, you will be interested in speaking to the school.
I don't know if I've lost you, Amit.
Um, Shaun, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I don't know what happened. Did
Yeah,
my
no,
internet connection just?
yeah, I thought it was my connection, and then yours came. All I heard was about you running a school, self
Yeah,
development.
yeah. I have a school club. I lead a school club about self development, about like mental health, about productivity. Like maybe you can join us for a online lesson to actually teach us, you know, about what your actually passion and purpose is. That
Yeah,
would be
absolutely. I'd be honored to do that. Thank you very much for that opportunity. And I think, if sharing my story of the adversity I've gone through helps one person, then it's time well spent. Absolutely. Thank you.
absolutely. So we have another question from again. I don't know what my passion is. Do you guys believe that we have to have our stuff figured out pretty early?
I'm really passionate about this question because society is instilled in us this sort of time frame, time scale that we need to have hit certain accomplishments by. And the problem is with that is we're comparing ourselves to other people. So if you are 20, 30, 40, and you still don't know what your passion is, that is fine. People hit
Completely.
different milestones and different things at different parts of their life. We need to stop thinking we're all running in the same race. We're running our own race and we're going to hit the finish line or certain milestones at different times. So, no, to answer your question, you do not have, and it's not, I will argue with anyone who thinks you need to have your life figured out. I think society, social media has painted this false representation of what we should be doing when we're 20, when we're 30. We should be married by this time. No, every single person is different. So please, please, please Don't compare yourself to your friend or your brother or your family. And unfortunately,
Absolutely.
different societies will be frowned upon if you are not married by a certain age, or you don't own your own property by a certain age.
There's
Or,
something wrong with you.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And we need to eliminate that stigma around, you should be here by this time, because that's not true.
absolutely. Absolutely.
There is a lot
And
of questions.
yeah, I personally don't, feel myself ready to answer this question. But of course, like, it doesn't really matter where you are. Do you hear a lot of like WhatsApp messages?
No.
Okay, no problem. Okay, it's just coming to me. Okay, no problem. So I personally don't see myself who is ready to answer this question. And of course, like, Shaun absolutely crashed it. And for example, Gary Vee talks a lot about this. Like, you don't have to figure your shit out, as he says, quote unquote, like when you're 21, 25, 20, like 6, maybe 30, even if 40. So absolutely.
And we
We
need
have
to
a lot of
normalize that.
questions. Can you say that again, please? I didn't quite
No,
hear
it's
it.
fine. We need to normalize not having our stuff
Absolutely.
together by 30. That's fine, or by 20, or whenever. We need to normalize that. And if your friend says, oh, I feel really overwhelmed, all my friends are married and I'm not, or all my friends have got degrees, or all my friends have got X, Y, and Z, you need to just comfort them and normalize it and say, that's okay. That's okay. They're not you. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But another question, I mean, we have a lot of questions. What are some small hacks that I can use to be less stressed? Stress is a topic Shaun covers a lot.
Yeah, stress. I think the problem is with stress. You think about this when you wake up. If you snooze your alarm, you've already given yourself some stress. So you've heard a noise, you've woken up, and you've given yourself some stress. You snooze it again, stress. You look at your phone and you see there's an email or a message that you've not replied to that you should have, stress. You go downstairs and you realize that you've got no milk, stress. So all of these things are sort of small stresses that happen on a daily basis. But what we can do is to feel less stressed is we can control the controllables. So, for example, we start that day again, the alarm goes off, get up. You're not snoozing it. You're not going to get any other stress. You don't check your phone in the morning. You're not going to see that email. You're not going to see that message that you've not replied to. You go downstairs and there's no milk. Then instead of thinking, oh, there's no milk, think, okay, I'll just have to have something else. And to be less stressed, I can talk hours about stress, but ultimately, stress it's natural. It's our body's sort of way of reacting to certain situations. But some easy, very simple, I appreciate we've got a lot of questions to go through. Meditation's brilliant. Exercise, whether it's football, running, walking, take time. I mentioned before, take time to do something that you love every single day. And I would say also try and use your friends and family around you, and ask them, what can I do? Ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help. I've got mentors and managers and people that I turn to when I'm stuck in certain situations. Don't be afraid to ask people for help. So I hope they sort of answer you to feel less stressed. They are sort of small things, small changes that we can make, but they will ultimately make you feel less stressed if you focus more on yourself.
Absolutely. For example, you mentioned exercising, you mentioned meditation, and I would say yes, all of those small habits. I would say small habits are scientifically proven that they reduce your stress. So, for example, when you exercise in a day for like, let's say 20 minutes, it doesn't have to be 1 hour long strength training. It doesn't have to be like that. Just 20 minutes walking is going to be absolutely great for your stress levels. Scientifically proven meditation is one of the best ways to actually reduce your stress, even if it's just 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not that much of big of a deal when you look at 24 hours. So just try to add 5 minutes to your day. Cameras here, yeah. Meditation, that would be absolutely great for you, and that would be what I would want to add. So we
Yeah.
still have a lot of questions. I mean, it's been 50 minutes? I don't know. We can go through if you one of them. Like,
Yeah,
it
I'm
doesn't really
okay.
matter. How do you
Let's
feel?
go.
Okay. Um, how should we set goals in life? Very, very big question. So, what do you say, Shaun?
Goal setting, I think we need to manage our own expectations. I mentioned it before. We really need to manage our own expectations and set achievable goals. Not achievable to achievable goals, but they need to be goals that we're going to be able to reach if we push ourselves out of our sort of comfort zone and into our
Yes,
stretch zone.
absolutely.
So I would say we should set goals. We should. There's a really good acronym. I'll is it Kerem? Is that how you pronounce this person's name?
Yes, Kerem.
Kerem. I'll send over. I'll put an acronym in the comment section about setting targets and goals. I think the acronym is SMART.
Yes,
Um,
smart.
have you covered it before?
No, I just know
No?
it, and I don't really know the details right now. I may have forgotten that, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's
But I think when it comes to goal setting, you need to be managing your own expectations. Don't set yourself unrealistic goals. You're only setting yourself up to fail. And I appreciate it's very similar to the question before, but it's very similar answer because if you set yourself, if you, for example, you touched before on strength training. If you
yeah,
set yourself 45 minutes every single, for 3 days a week strength training, and then, 2 weeks down the line, you realize you've not done 45 minutes, you've done maybe 20 minutes. Straight away, you failed. And in your head, you're thinking, I'm terrible, shouldn't have done that. So instead, what you could do is set the bar lower. And then naturally, what we will do, we will naturally raise that bar ourselves. So if we say, I'm going to set myself 10 minutes of exercise every day, and then you're doing 10 minutes and you're thinking, I can do more than this. You do 15, you do 20. And it's better to overachieve on smaller targets than underachieve on unrealistic targets. Because
I actually just continue. I have a question to you. I just remember something from the past. Yeah, just
yeah,
continue. Sorry for bothering.
ultimately, it's better to, if you're going to run a marathon, for example, don't say I'm going to run 10 kilometers every single day. Set your target low and say I'm going to run 5 kilometers every day. And that way, if you run 7 kilometers, it's better to overachieve on the 5 than underachieve on the 10, because mentally, psychologically, it puts us in a better mind frame.
Yes. So what I would like to ask you is basically I have listened a lot of podcasts about the 10x rule. Maybe you have heard about it. And it's basically, for example, when people set themselves a goal for a year, for example, let's say this was the example that they were using. I want to make, for example, let's say X amount of dollars this year. And the guy who was the guru said, like, try to make that 10x, like 10x amount of dollars. And he kind of like explained it. When you have a bigger goal, you have more motivation to actually like hit the goal. So even though maybe you're not going to be able to hit the goal, you're going to be able to, let's say, do like 2, 3, 4 X amount of dollars. So what do you think about that? Like that's kind of like different with what you explained. I really want to learn about your opinion about that as well. This is something I remembered from the past.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think setting high goals. So throughout my life, for the last 4 years, I've been in recruitment. So I am a high performer naturally in my industry. I spent 2.5 years working for one of the world's largest recruitment companies, and I was very successful in what I'd done. And I did very much what you said. I'd set myself a really high target. But what I would see, I would realize that in order to reach that target, I really needed to push myself both mentally and physically and emotionally. So for me, although the target was money, it was to make X amount of money. And whilst I reached the target, felt amazing for it, it came at a sacrifice of my health. It came at a sacrifice of my time. It came at a sacrifice of my own well-being. So ultimately, depending on what the goal is, I feel it's really important to, value the things that are going to be sacrificed. So if you want to make $1 million or £1 million or whatever, understand that means you're not going to be able to be going out with your friends. It means you're probably going to spend less time with family. means you're going to be in the office more. It means you're going to be missing out on friends' 18th, 21st birthdays. So it's about sacrifice and understanding and asking yourself, does this weigh more to me than the $1 million or my goal? Is losing this worth getting this? And ultimately, if you ask yourself that question, and it is, go for it. Absolutely, put your foot to the floor and go for it. But if you're going to be losing time with loved ones, you're going to be losing, your own sanity, you're going to be losing sleep, you're going to be losing things that matter more than money, then in my opinion, is it worth it? I made a lot of money with this company. And I will tell you the truth. I don't know if you listen to Dimitri's podcast, but I mentioned on Dimitri's podcast that I realized, because I came from a background without any money, I realized I was chasing money, and what I should have been chasing was happiness. And
Absolutely.
for me, the money was great, but I wasn't happy. So sorry to go on
that's
a long-winded answer there.
That's something that also Gary talks about a lot, and he says like, success does not mean like how much money you have in your bank account.
Mm-hmm.
If you are happy, if you are absolutely fulfilled, then that means you already won the game. We have to change the game. Like, the game is not being rich. The game is not having X amount of dollars in your bank account. The game is actually being happy and being fulfilled, because we don't know how long we're gonna live. And this is just something that I wanted to add. And there was something that I really wanted to add, but I actually forgot it. So I'm not going to be able to add, guys, sorry.
No,
and we still have some questions. And so
really important that's why I'll always say, how do you define success? People ask me all the time about questions about success. Success for me will be different to you. Success now to you, Ahmet, may be different to what it is in 10 years' time. And success is different for us all. So we really need to, rather than ask what success is, will this make me successful? You got to ask yourself, what does success mean to you?
Absolutely. I just remembered what I wanted to say. So we talked about like family and friends, like not being able to actually spend that time with them. And there are actually 4 F's. Like, that's what people say: family, faith, fitness, and finances. So always, if you are chasing a goal for your fitness or for your finances, always try to think that your faith and your family are more important than the other F's. So that's what I actually try to keep in mind, that when I'm, for example, trying to reach a goal for my YouTube channel, for my school, I always try to prioritize my family, my faith, the people who I love, the first one, and then comes like the second goals, because that's actually how I'm going to be happy. So that's what I wanted to add. Another question: do we really need a night routine? I personally think that yes. I mean, the way you're asking this question is, do we really need a night routine? I think so. What do you think, Shaun?
I think in this modern day, with let's talk normally. Let's talk as if things are back to normal, whatever normal looks like to us. I think having a night routine, it's scientifically proven. If you have a night routine, if you refrain from having coffee, from at a certain time in the day, it increases your better quality of sleep. If you're having better sleep, you've got more energy. If you're not looking at your phone for 2 hours during the night, you sleep better. So yes, we need a night routine if we truly value our sleep. The problem is, Ahmet, the problem with sleep is we're just not valuing it. We are not prioritizing it. And that is the problem. Everyone wants to be doing 15, 16, 18-hour days, getting 4 hours worth, 5 hours of sleep. And then they're wondering why 6 months down the line, they've gone grey and they're, burnt out. The problem is with sleep, we're just not prioritizing it. So yes, we do need a night routine because the benefits are endless.
I personally think like that too, because I mean, when I look to my night routine, if I don't have a nighttime routine, that means I'm not going to be able to go to bed at a certain time. That means I'm not going to be able to get a good amount of sleep until I wake up at 5 a.m. So night routine, I just personally think that it's just crucial, because when you have a nighttime routine, the whole day changes. For example, your morning routine starts the day before, starts from your night before. And for example, I absolutely think that if you have a great morning routine, if you start your day very well, your day is probably gonna go also good. And if you have a very bad morning routine, if you just wake up, scroll through Instagram, just see bad stuff, and then start your day not having breakfast, for example, you're not gonna be able to have a good morning, and that's gonna kind of like carry through, and you're not gonna have a good day. And with this psychological like thing, without having a night routine, I don't think it's possible to be very, very productive throughout the day. So I always try to value my sleep, as Shaun said, and that's something really, really important. So another question. In school, we do a lot of things that are boring to us, but we need to learn them to do our dream job. How can we deal with that? That's actually something that I want to really hear about you, Shaun.
Okay, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, school is something we have to do in life, whether you're 16, 26, 36, or 46, there's going to be things in life that you need to do that you don't want to do, you don't enjoy doing, and that maybe perhaps you don't agree with. Unfortunately, that is life. So without sounding patronizing or anything like that, I think we need to understand that every single person learns differently. For me, academically, I wasn't very good in school. I was very good with cooking, which is why I became a chef. I was very good with drama. I was very more sort of hands-on than
Yeah,
academically put a book in front of me. I didn't learn like that. People learn differently. So I would say focus on what you're good at in school. Of course, that's not me saying if you're not good at English, don't bother with English, or if you're not good with maths,
yeah,
don't bother with maths. But really focus on what you're good at and how you do learn, because I think the best sort of research we can do is the research on ourselves. I think the sort of upbringing we have and what happens when we're young really does set us up for the rest of our lives. So anyone who's young watching this right now, I would say if you can, and it may sound a bit far-fetched, but make notes of your life now. What are you enjoying? What gives you fulfillment? What sort of methods and skills are you finding benefit you? Because they're only going to benefit you in the long run,
self-awareness.
knowing, okay, when I was younger, I wasn't very academic, but I was really good hands-on. So then when people say, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, you know. And
You
I
know,
mentioned before, we live 24 hours a day with ourselves, but some of us don't even understand ourselves. And that's because we haven't done the legwork and the work that needs to be done in the important years of when we're younger.
absolutely. Um, I mean, I am in this situation right now. Like, what I'm gonna do in the future is doesn't really not have something to do with what I do in school. So, I personally think that we just have to do. I mean, the successful people in the world are not just doing the things they like. For example,
Mhm,
if they have to run a business, and if that business has sites that they have to get done, but they don't really enjoy, I mean, they
mhm,
just have to do that, because without doing them, that business is not going to be successful. And for example, if you don't like math, but if you don't do math, then you're not going to be successful at school. That's just a fact. So
mhm.
I personally think that we just have to do everything, we just have to try to do everything good. Like, how do you one thing is how you absolutely do everything. That's a motto that I live by. So
Mhm.
how can we deal with that? We just have to go with that until we can find an exit. So that's what I think about this. Even
Absolutely.
though I'm just a 16-year-old boy, like just in this classical situation, I mean, schools are not designed to create leaders. Schools are just designed in every single country to actually like produce workers. Because in school, even though every single student are different, they just take the same classes from the same teachers, learn with like they just learn with the same techniques. So it's just what happens. I mean, if we cannot change the system, then it's not going to happen, and that's what I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I don't really see any more questions, and it has been like 1 hour. Hey Joshua, what's up, man? How you doing? How do you want things? How do you everything? Absolutely, 100%. That's absolutely a quote that I live by. They may be one of the best quotes that I have ever heard. I mean, I don't know how to go from that. Shaun, do you have anything to add? We can stop the live stream right here. How do you feel?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure to be a part of. I was very not surprised, very sort of pleased with the amount of questions. I feel we covered some good topics, and hopefully, despite me not being anywhere near the finished article or the finished product, hopefully some of the things that we've covered will help people. Ultimately, that's what my purpose is. So hopefully, that's what we've done today.
Yes, I do think so. So thank you for being here, Shaun. I really, really enjoyed our conversation. I really enjoyed the questions that you have sent, guys. I mean, we answered probably more than 20 questions. So it was a very, very good one. Thank you for coming. And hopefully we will maybe make this happen in the future. I'm hopefully going to be collaborating with you for your channel as well. I'm really looking forward for that. So thank you guys for joining us. It has been 1 hour, more than 1 hour. I really enjoyed the conversation. And last words, Shaun?
Thank you very much. And I would say mindset is everything. We'll leave it like that.
Mindset is everything. I'm going to add this to the title of the video. So thank you guys for being here. I am ending the broadcast. Hopefully, I've never ended a broadcast from StreamYard, but let's see how it goes. So, yes.